Very often, I notice people when they are working spells get this idea that if some is good, more is better. I see them doing spell after spell after spell for the same topic, or different kind of spells for the same topic, trying to maybe get at it from different angles. Sometimes they'll work psalm magic and they'll say, well, maybe if I work 6 psalms a day on this, it'll be better than just working one. Or I've already done a candle spell for this and I finished that yesterday, so now I'm going to do a poppet spell for it. And then I'm going to do some affirmations, on and on and on. And if you just take a step back for a second and look at it just really logically, what are you communicating to your deep mind when you do that? That it's not working. Because if it was working, you wouldn't have to do it again and you wouldn't have to do another thing. Right? You are communicating to your deep mind, I don't believe that this is working, so I'm going to try something else. And if you keep throwing everything but the kitchen sink at a problem, your deep mind says, none of this stuff works. And that's what you're getting. That's the spell you're casting, is none of this stuff works. It can be a challenge and it can be a discipline to actually work our magic in a way that's effective, and that is to release it. Releasing your spell, it can be very challenging, but that's what you need to do. If you have worked the actual magic, then your job is done. You don't need to dig up the seeds and make sure that they're working. You don't need to, if you have a plant and you give it the right kind of soil and the right kind of nourishment and you water it and you give it the right kind of sunlight, it'll flourish. But if you keep throwing different kinds of fertilizer on it and you keep overwatering it and you keep over pruning it and you keep messing with it, the thing is going to just die, or at least not thrive. It needs to be left alone. It needs to be left alone so that it can do what it does, and that's grow. And the seeds that you plant in your deep mind through spell work are no different. They need to be left alone so that they can thrive and that they can grow. So what helps is when you are finished with a spell is having something in mind of what to do when your obsessive and your compulsive tendencies start to take over. What do I do with that so that I don't kill my spell? And one thing that you can do to let go of your spell is to get your mind off of it. We'll take a page right out of the basic angel magic course. I think it's the very last lesson, where we talk about how each of those angels represents a different quality of spirit, or a different name of God, if you will. If you can transfer your obsession about your spell onto a quality of spirit or onto a name of God, then what you're doing is you're allowing divine will to take over rather than your will. Because your small will is the reason why you need the spell in the first place. So your small will did its job. It did the spell. It did whatever is called for in the spell. It did the right visualizations. It did all of what it needed to do. It planted the seed. And now you need to take your hands off of it. So what do you do with your hands, your mental hands? What do you do with them? Start thinking in terms of one of the qualities of spirit, or all of the qualities of spirit if you need to. And that gives you something to focus on other than your spell. So let's go through the 8 qualities of spirit that we talk about in that basic angel magic course. There's others, but you can consider these as names of God. So a name in magic is the nature of something. So the name of God just means a quality of spirit. You don't need to worry about necessarily the Hebrew God names when you work like this. And you just discipline your mind to transfer your obsession about working another angle of your spell to focusing on a quality of God, just thinking about it. And you give yourself, a good 5 minutes where you just stop thinking about your spell and think about a quality of spirit instead. And then once you've done that, your mind will let go of it enough that you can just move on and do something else and know and have faith that all is well. Okay, so let's go through some qualities of spirit. Infinite life. Now, in our basic angel magic course, that's Michael, and that's the power of the sun. So infinite life. Think about what is infinite life. What is beating your heart? What is keeping you breathing? What is causing the plants to grow? what is causing babies to grow, what is causing things to actually thrive and move and have vibration. That is infinite life. There's no end to life. Life doesn't end. Death is not something that happens to life. Death is something that happens to form. So death is something that happens to physical organisms, but life goes on no matter what. There's always life. There's life throughout the universe. If you're thinking and contemplating about infinite life, especially if you're working something like a healing spell or something like that, thinking about infinite life rather than, oh my God, I hope my healing spell works, that's going to really anchor your mind onto some quality of spirit that actually has the power to make your spell work. And now you're focusing and you're anchoring your mind on the cause, on the solution, rather than obsessing over, is it going to work? Is it going to work? No, you're anchoring your mind on infinite life and just considering what infinite life is. Give yourself 5 minutes where you say, I'm not thinking about anything but infinite life. I'm just going to go over these ideas about what infinite life means to me. I can even take out a piece of paper and start listing what the principle of life itself is and how it manifests. The principle of life. Angel Gabriel, in our course, rules the divine quality of infinite soul. If your spell had something to do with your own creativity or your own role in life that's real unique unto you, you might think of infinite soul. What is divine soul? What is the principle of soul? It's the individuation of who you are as an expression or an extension of divine mind. You're that. That's who you are. You're like a sunbeam, and you're unique like a snowflake or like a thumbprint. There's nobody like you. You're so unique. And Infinite Soul talks about how you're not dispensable or disposable, and how you're an eternal being that has a very specific function and a very specific role to fill. And that if you are functioning as a soul, everything that you need to function is automatically given to you because you're right on that beam. You're not doing anything other than being yourself. So anytime that you feel like you have to apologize for yourself or that you're not good enough or that if only you weren't the way you were, everything would be better, then it's time for you to start thinking about who you are as a soul, because God didn't create junk. God only creates that which is necessary. And when I say God, I'm not talking about a masculine being. I'm talking about infinite spirit itself. It only creates that which is essential. So you are essential. So you're thinking in terms of infinite soul, infinite soul. That's what I'm thinking about. Not, oh my God, is my spell working? I'm pivoting and focusing my mind on that quality of spirit, in this case, infinite soul, and what that means and how that applies to me. Angel Samael is infinite spirit, the quality of spirit itself. Now, spirit is that which cannot be destroyed. Spirit is that which is eternal and invincible and unassailable. There is nothing that you can do to attack spirit. If you put a sword into a ray of light, what does it do to the ray of light? Absolutely nothing. If you shoot at a ray of light, what does it do? Nothing. There's nothing you can do to spirit to harm it or thwart it in any way. You are completely invulnerable as spirit. So your protection spells and things like that, rather than, oh my gosh, is it working? Is it working? You can turn and pivot and start thinking about infinite spirit. I'm focusing and anchoring my mind on that one quality of infinite spirit. I am unassailable. I am unassailable. And since my spirit is unassailable, then I can have the spirit take over in any aspect of my life so that the physicality of my experience reflects that safety that I have. But I have to get my mind anchored and focused on what that quality of spirit is. And I don't have to worry about the manifestations. They take care of themselves. They take care of themselves. You don't have to worry about forcing an echo to happen. All you have to do is make the sound. You don't have to worry about forcing the ringing to happen. You just have to clank the bell. You don't have to you don't have to worry about the effect. All you have to do is concern yourself with the cause. And in this case, cause is reminding myself that infinite spirit is who I am. And since infinite spirit is who I am safe. I am protected. I am invulnerable. And so then once you get clear on that, your mind is focused on and anchored on that quality, and then those manifestations will take care of themselves because you've got your mind right. The Archangel Raphael, we say, has to do with infinite intelligence. Now, infinite intelligence, knows how to create forests out of acorns and babies out of embryos and planets revolving around a sun. It's the divine design of every single thing. And not only is infinite intelligence responsible for designing a perfect universe, it's responsible for designing a perfect you. Infinite intelligence designed a perfect you. So if there's anything in your design which seems faulty, it's because you're not aligning yourself with infinite intelligence. You're not aligning yourself with that divine design. So infinite intelligence knows exactly what to do at every turn. Infinite intelligence knows how to handle any situation successfully. So if you're worried that things are not working out for you, or things don't look right, or things seem askew, or things seem defective in your life, it's time to start aligning and anchoring your mind on infinite intelligence and allowing infinite intelligence to be the boss rather than you. And if infinite intelligence is the boss, then the effects of infinite intelligence are guaranteed as long as you don't get involved in the process, as long as you take your mind off of that and put your mind back on infinite intelligence and focusing on infinite intelligence rather than thinking about your spell or thinking about your problem. Again, that's just for 5 minutes at a time. And 5 minutes of thinking about infinite intelligence and driving the idea of your spell out of your mind for 5 minutes is enough to get you going, so that as you move about your day, it's really easy for you to get your hands off of worrying about your spell and trusting that all is well and things are working out. Now, Archangel Sachiel of Jupiter in that course is responsible for divine truth. Divine truth. Now, you might want to think about divine truth if you're worried about things. Maybe something was taken from you, or somebody's suing you, or if you're having trouble in the honesty department, whether it's your honesty is the problem or their honesty is the problem. And that's what your spell might be about. So you call on divine truth and you focus on divine truth and you ask that divine truth be the only reality for you, and you just meditate and you contemplate and you anchor your thoughts on divine truth. 2 + 2 is 4, not 7. Truth, right? There's only truth. Light overcomes darkness, not because there's some battle, but that's just how it is. That's just how it is. There is a cause and there is an effect. There's always truth. And God's truth is that you're perfect the way you are, the way you were created. And anything that doesn't look like perfection is a lie. And so somehow your mind has gotten caught up in a lie if things aren't working out right for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to align with divine truth and call on divine truth. You're going to invoke divine truth as a principle, so that all you anchor on for that 5 minutes is the idea of divine truth and allowing divine truth to reveal itself. And even on the spot, if you're wondering what to do, just say, well, divine truth reveals itself for me right now, right here and now. Infinite truth, divine truth, perfect truth. Now that Archangel Anael, we say, is responsible for the quality of spirit called perfect love. Perfect love. And we say that perfect love casts out all fear, and that there's not that love triumphs all. Those are little sayings that are kind of in the vernacular, and those are true sayings. So if there's a problem in your life, it's probably the problem has to do with a lack of love. So anchoring your mind on perfect love. We're not just talking about romantic love. We're not talking about platonic love. We're talking about perfect love. We're talking about the love that your Creator has for you, and the fact that not only does your Creator love you, but love is is what you were created out of. You're created out of an act of love and through the force of love itself. So you are actually a being of pure love. And so anything that doesn't look like pure love in your life is because you're thinking something outside of the realm of truth. You're thinking something outside of the realm of how God sees you, or your Creator sees you, Infinite Spirit sees you. So if you anchor your thoughts on perfect love and you are immersing yourself with perfect love for those 5 minutes instead of thinking about, oh my God, is my spell working? Then you are giving your spell a chance to have success, because you're putting your mind on perfect love, which is a divine principle that can actually help you, rather than focusing on, oh my God, is it working? Oh my God, is it working? What do I throw at it now? What do I do? Where do I go? What do I throw at this? Right? That's telling your deep mind something that you don't want it to know. It's programming your computer with bad information. Instead, you're pivoting and you're anchoring your mind on something greater than you and greater than your spell even, and just allowing infinite, divine, perfect love to wash over every aspect of your mind, body, and affairs for just 5 minutes at a time. You can remember that Cassiel, we say, is responsible for the divine quality of law, divine law. Sometimes it's very helpful to remind yourself that you're under God's laws, not under the world's laws. You're under divine law. Only divine law is what is in effect here, not other laws. You have all kinds of laws that you've made up, and you don't want those laws active when you're trying to get your spell to work, right? I see these laws, all the time, and we all do it, but you can see it when somebody's talking about their problem. It's just like, I never get, I always have, nothing ever. These laws that we have for ourselves. I always struggle with those kinds of laws. It's really hard for me to. It's always been hard for me to. Those are your laws. So for 5 minutes, you're going to let your laws go, and you're going to say divine law. I'm under divine law, not my laws, not the world's laws. I'm under divine law. And what is divine law? Cause and effect. Well, the ultimate cause and effect in your life is that you're the effect of a divine cause. So Infinite Spirit's law says that cause and effect means that you're just as perfect as Infinite Spirit, because you're a ray. You're an extension of that perfection. That's how that law works. So if you allow divine law right of way, even for that 5 minutes, and let your hands off of your problem and stop worrying about things according to your personal laws, then you're going to really give yourself an opportunity to have things turn around for yourself. We say that Uriel is in charge of the divine quality called divine presence. Presence. Thinking in terms of, I'm not alone here. I've never been alone. There's no way to be alone, because I'm not just created and thrown out by myself. I'm an extension of divinity. So the presence is always there if I can calm my mind and feel divine presence. And you can feel it you can feel it right now if you close your eyes, calm your mind. What's beating your heart right now? What is that? That's the presence. That's the divine presence. The divine presence of perfect love, of all of the qualities of spirit: soul, spirit, intelligence, truth, law, love, life. It's all there as one presence of divinity, and it never goes away. We go away. We forget about it. We move out. We start worrying. We start doing our number on things, but the presence never goes away. So if we can relax enough and we can think in terms of divine presence, that divine presence has a vibration that shakes off anything that's unlike itself, that completely heals everything at every moment of time and point of space, if we can just get our minds focused on it. So we can focus on that for 5 minutes rather than our problem. You could memorize all 8 of these and just go through them. Sometimes if you're really freaked out about something, that's what I do. If I'm really freaked out about something, I say, I'm going to take 5 minutes and not think about what I'm freaked out about. And I'm going to go through each of these qualities of spirit. And I'm going to go through it as many times as I need to until I get a sense of peace about this. A sense of peace and certainty that things are working out for me. But the last thing I need to do is another spell. I already did the spell. What I want to do is let the spell work. I'm not gonna mess up my spell. I'm gonna give my spell a chance by letting that divine soil, that divine fertilizer, that divine water, and the divine sunlight to let it grow and thrive and prosper, so that I can have what I want. I can have my desires. Because that's the other thing too. A lot of times the reason why we are worried that our spell's not going to come true is because we don't think that our desires are holy. We don't think we deserve them. We think in terms of, who am I to want more money? Who am I to want good health? Who am I to want a perfect mate? Who am I to want better clothes? Who am I to want a nicer house? Who am I to want a nicer car? Right? And so we think, well, maybe if I do a spell, then I can kind of trick the universe into giving me what I want. That's not how spells work, because you're going to get what you put into it. So we have to look in terms of the fact that, wait a minute, who am I? I'm a force of divine light. I'm a force of divine spirit. I am a manifestation of all of these qualities of spirit. So of course I have every right to have what I want, but I got to get my mind straight. I got to get my mind focused on that. I've got to understand that infinite spirit wants me to be happy, wants me to thrive. And that's why we say this or something better when we do a spell, because the same part of our minds that wants to destroy our spell by overdoing things is the same part of our mind that oftentimes has our goal skewed just a little bit so that it won't bring us happiness. But if we recognize that our minds are skewed usually in this world, we can circumvent that by just saying, this is what I think I want, and I want this or something better according to infinite intelligence's will, according to the will of spirit. Because the idea that spirit might not want us to get what we want is not true. Spirit wants us to get what we want. But the problem isn't that we are asking for too much. It's because the problem is that we're not asking for enough. It's not that spirit is saying, you want too much. Who do you think you are? That's not where spirit's coming from. Spirit's coming from, I don't want to give you this. I'm going to give you this. I don't want to give you a pebble. I want to give you the whole mountain. I don't want to give you a grain of sand. I want to give you the beach and the ocean with it. So it's not so much that we have to worry that spirit's going to say no because we don't deserve it. What we have to realize is that spirit wants to upgrade everything for us. So when we are doing our spell work, recognize that this or something better really means this or something better, and that we can take our hands off of it. We can take our hands off of it because infinite spirit knows what it's doing. And the only thing that we do when we don't take our hands off of our spell once it's cast is that we tend to try to kill it. We tend to try to mess it up. And so if we learn how to pivot during those periods of time when we think that we have to do more, we have to do more, we have to do more, we just instead, we take all of that desire to do more and say, instead of thinking about my spell or my problem or my goal or my desire, I'm going to just leave it alone for 5 minutes, and I'm going to think of a quality of spirit instead. And that pivoting is everything. That is like the clicking of the heels for Dorothy 3 times. You just get right to where you need to go, and things work out beautifully. And you know that things are working out beautifully the second you start having peace in your heart about it. The second you start knowing that everything's working out for you, regardless of what you see so far in the physical world. You know that things are working out for you based on the way you feel about it. And so that's your goal after you've cast your spell, is to find that sense of peace and certainty. And one of the ways that you can do that is by pivoting and listening, instead of listening to that voice inside of you saying, it's not enough, you got to do more, you got to do more. You let that go, and you drive that out of your mind for a moment, simply by considering instead one or more of those qualities of spirit and keep your mind occupied with those instead. And that's a very, very powerful place for your mind to be focused so that you can have the manifestations that you desire, and then some. And then some. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. I really appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.